I had a client for an intro session last week that was equally intrigued and frustrated with the concept of self-love. We barely went through the introductions when she almost burst into tears, and she said, "I simply do not have time to love myself. Life is so busy, there is never enough time in the day. I do not have time to think how I feel, what I want, or what I need. I just go through my days trying to get as many things done as possible, and even then, it usually turns out that I'm behind." And this is what happens surprisingly often, that my clients say, "I do not have time for self-love. Life is simply too busy." Well, there is a huge misunderstanding here. Welcome to another episode of Self-Love Chats with Kasia, and today we are going to talk about a huge myth that gentle, loving, good self-care or self-love is a luxury available only to people who have plenty of time, money, or other resources at their hands. This is simply not true. And I will also show you 3 easy ways that you can implement into your life right now, today, to be more loving, to be more caring towards yourself, even in the midst of your very busy or even chaotic life. Because everything you want from life, peace, contentment, joy, happiness, fulfillment, loving relationships, it all starts with self-love. Always. Have you noticed how our lives got so much busier in the last few decades? So many of us are overwhelmed or unfulfilled, very busy, or even burnt out. We often live like we are the prisoners of our to-do lists. Part of the problem is that our world has changed so much in the last few decades, right? Over the past 30, 40, 50 years, the world has gradually been gaining speed. Personal computers first, then internet, then smartphones. All that made our world more advanced, more efficient, but also a whole lot faster. And then the social media invaded our life, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We are now on call all day, every day. And that can be exhausting. There are unimaginable amounts of information that are available to us, right? There are huge demands on our time. And we still have just 24 hours in a day to get it all done. So self-love is not about adding one more task, one more expectation, one more have to or should do thing to your busy schedule. It's all about finding ways in which we can live peacefully and happily and in a meaningful way in this new, very fast world. In the early days, at the beginning of my own self-love journey, I used to imagine what an ideal self-love scenario would look like for me. And this image involved a lot of time for breathing and meditating, doing yoga, going for long walks in the forest, living somewhere in the countryside with dogs and cats, drinking herbal tea on the veranda. It all looked like a slow motion movie, and a movie that is happening always somewhere in the future, yes? And I used to get so frustrated each time I was thinking about it, because my current life at the time did not resemble a bit this idyllic countryside scene. It was almost like a science fiction movie at that time. So my way to get around that was to put a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, kind of pushing through to get into this ideal scenario, yes, to get to this destination, only to find out one day that I'm completely burnt out, totally overwhelmed with this growing tension in my chest that at some point required a quick trip to A&E in the nearest hospital. That was the opposite of self-love. That is the opposite of self-love. And it is just another example of how our minds play tricks on us and make love that we crave so much, or self-love that we crave so much, one more time, very, very conditional. I can love myself only if. I can love myself only when I have more time, I'm in an ideal place, I achieve a certain life standards, I find good relationship, whatever it is for you. But self-love is not a goal to achieve. It's not a future destination, and it's not a box to tick on your to-do list. Self-love is not about creating some ideal life where you are in an ideal place, have ideal life balance, and are surrounded by ideal relationships. It's not about creating anything new at all. Self-love is more a way of being in the midst of whatever is happening around you and inside you. It's about being kind and compassionate. It's about being confident in who you are, in the choices that you're making, and in the life you are choosing to live. So it often feels like the eye of the tornado, right? Like it feels like this peace, even when you are surrounded by chaos. And self-love is only in a small part about what you do. It is much more about the way you are and the way you show up in your life for yourself, for other people, on a very ordinary, mundane, everyday basis. So it doesn't require any extra time to practice it. It does not require anything to be added to your busy schedule, but it does require a few inside shifts in your mind, in your heart, and very much in your body. So in the middle of your life being extremely busy, in the middle of your life being extremely chaotic or challenging, in the middle of a life crisis, you can still choose to be loving and caring and kind towards yourself. Actually, it's in these moments that you need self-love more than ever. So there are many ways to do that, and I really encourage you to join us for the upcoming 3-day online self-love experience, because as the name suggests, you will be able to experience that yourself, what it feels to embody self-love, what it feels to ignite your own self-love revolution. There is a link in the description, and I really hope I will see you there. But in the meantime, as promised, I want to tell you 3 simple, quick steps that you can implement into your life right now and be much, much nicer towards yourself right in the middle of whatever might be going on in your life right now. And I promise these 3 ways, these 3 steps will make a huge difference in how you feel, in how you think, and in how you show up in your life. The first step to love yourself in the middle of a very busy life is to be very clear about what matters to you most. This sounds big, right? Like a big question that might require a whole mind map or a free weekend to think about. And that is how we so often block ourselves, by believing that things require much more time, energy, attention that we have available right now. But you do not need to go that deep, and it's not a question that you have to answer once and then stick with the answer for the rest of your life. Right now, in this very moment, ask yourself, what are the 3 things that matter to you most in your life? Write them down. It takes not even a minute to come up with 3, and quite often there are many more coming up to the surface, so then it might take you a minute or so to prioritize and choose 3 most important ones. 3 things that matter most to you in your life right now. And write them down. Now, trust your intuition. Our priorities change all of the time, so you might want or need to change this list next week. That's okay. But for now, I would really like you to look at these 3 things that you wrote down, and I have 2 questions to ask you about them. So the first question is, If I looked at your everyday schedule, at your weekly schedule, will I be able to guess with ease what these three things are? Or in other words, do you on your average day, in your average week, give most of your time, energy and focus to these three things? And if the answer is yes, brilliant. If you are really honest about what's most important in your life right now, and then your weekly schedule reflects that choice, congratulations. But if not, there is a bit of work to be done here. Things that matter to you most reveal your values, and your true values are a power to be reckoned with. Because our values guide our thinking, they guide our understanding of ourselves, of other people, of the world around, and they inform our actions and our choices. So if your weekly or daily schedule, things you give most of your time and energy to, if they are aligned with your values, you feel at peace, you feel authentic, you feel you're living with integrity, you're proud of yourself. If you are unsure about what your values are, if you try to live by someone else's values, yes, or if you give a lot of time to things that do not matter to you so much, you often feel confused, you find it hard to trust yourself, you often get stuck in situations and relationships that do not serve you well. But if you say or do things that betray your values, or if you spend majority of your time on a regular basis on things or in relationships that have nothing to do with your true values, then it always leads to a sense of inner conflict, yes? And there's a lot of embarrassment, a lot of shame even coming out as a result. So being loving towards yourself always means living by your values. And of course, it is one of the most loving things towards yourself that you can do to look and be very honest about how your weekly or daily schedule, how the things that take the majority of your time and attention, how are they aligned with what matters with you most? And then the second question. So the second question is, are you yourself among these three things that you have just wrote down? Did you put yourself on this list? If not, there is something not right here, because whatever you did put on the list requires you to be able to stay engaged with it, right? So in order to be there, to show up for the things and for the people that matter to us, we need to be well. You need to be in good form, available and engaged. Otherwise, you are giving just crumbs. You are giving crumbs to people, to things that really matter to you a lot. And that, again, never feels right. Remember, you are the golden goose here, the goose that lays golden eggs. No goose, no eggs. When the goose gets really exhausted, resentful, or raging inside, the eggs are far from golden as well, and they can become quite poisonous when consumed. So you need to be on the list of the three things that matter to you most, not only for your own sake, but also for the sake of all the things and people that matter to you most. And if that's a challenge, I really encourage you to sign up for the free video series that I've just created for you, Kickstart Your Journey to Self-Love, and you will receive right into your inbox 3 short videos on 3 consecutive days with 3 very simple, very powerful practices that you can start implementing into your life to start this journey into making yourself your own priority. So there is a link in the description of the video. I really encourage you to click and start there. The next step to practicing self-love in the middle of a very busy life is to expose your time thieves. Time thieves are quite often very subconscious ways in which we unlove ourselves. If your life is very busy right now, one of the most loving things you can do for yourself is to start being very mindful about how you spend your time. Being mindful of what might be stealing your precious time and what might be draining your precious energy and your precious resources. In a way, we are reversing the previous question, yes? And we ask ourselves, how much time on an average day, in an average week, do I spend on things that do not matter to me much or that do not matter to me at all? And of course, the obvious examples that come is Netflix and scrolling through Facebook and obsessive online shopping. That's obvious examples, but things are not always that obvious. My client from the intro session that I mentioned before, she has discovered that what mattered most to her right in the moment we talked together was her immediate family, especially her son that was going through a quite difficult challenge at school, so she really wanted to be there for him. Yet, when she started to pay attention to how she spent her time, she discovered that there were about 3 to 4 evenings at work that she was staying longer in her office because she was asked to, and she accepted, to take a few extra projects on. And another example of a client that was just starting her own business, and at the same time she was a mom of 3 really young kids. There were a lot on her plate, and obviously the most important priorities were the kids and the business, and yet she spent plenty of time helping plenty of people from her extended family. For some reason she has become kind of go-to person for her brother, for her sister, for her uncle, for her aunts, for her parents, and she spent precious hours on resolving their problems and running their errands. So in both of these examples, the consequences are, and you know these consequences very well, yes? Tiredness, exhaustion, overwhelm, but also this inside feeling that something's not right here, that I cannot give my 100% to what I really want to give it to. If your life is busy and you want to be loving towards yourself, you need to be very mindful of your time. So I want to tell you, just mention 3 biggest time thieves that stop us from focusing on what matters to us most and that keep us giving our time and energy to what is not our priority, at least not for now. And 3 things that also make us abandon ourselves all of the time and be somewhere else, but not at home here. So the 3 biggest time thieves are seeking approval and love, seeking rescue or respite, and seeking validation. And each of them deserves a separate chat, so we are not going to dive into them today, but we will do a lot of beautiful work with these 3 things because they are all connected with creating healthy and consistent boundaries. Yes, we will do a lot of beautiful work with them on the upcoming 3-day online self-love experience, so I really encourage you to join us there. And the third way that you can invite plenty of beautiful, nourishing, self-empowering self-love into your very busy life is by learning how to become more present, how to live here and now, how to inhabit your body. And this is the easiest and the most powerful thing you can start doing right now, no matter what's happening in your life or how busy the world around is. So when I say practice being present, I'm not talking about, adding any extra tasks into your day. I'm not talking about meditating for half an hour a day, or not even talking about doing breathing exercises or some relaxation practices. although they are all very helpful, of course, but I get it. Sometimes it's difficult to fit that into your days. That's okay. We can always work with whatever we have in front of us. So self-love is about falling in love with the whole of you, with your body, with your mind, with your heart, and with your soul. All of them at the same time. So often in life, especially if life gets very busy or chaotic or challenging, our minds tend to take over. We believe we can think our way out of this upheaval or out of this chaos. We can think our life into feeling better or into living better. And so often I hear my clients saying, I just need to organize myself better. I just need to plan better. I need to wrap my own head around that and I'll be okay. But all that it does, it just adds another layer of pressure, another layer of expectation. And quite often it just becomes another thing to beat ourselves up for. So as Einstein said, yes, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Becoming fully present means you move to a different level, means you move out of your head into the whole of you. Being present is a powerful antidote to living above your neck when you are, at the mercy of your overthinking, overanalyzing, excessive worrying, and stuff like that. It is also an antidote to your inner critic. So this never satisfied, always critical or even bullying inside voice that make you doubt your capabilities, sabotages your choices and steals your peace of mind. And you can easily learn how to live more in your body than in your head, how to inhabit your body more, how to stay grounded as you move through your busy day. Like you can weave this into your busy life, so to say. You can give some attention to what's happening with your body and your heart, and this will help you to make some very little adjustments in how you move through your busy schedule, and that will certainly make you feel more trusting, more confident towards your own choices, and moving through your days with much more ease. So again, I have just recorded this 3-day free series for you, 3 very short videos with 3 practices that you can very easily implement into your day to kickstart yourself on this journey and start embodying self-love, embodying self-care even in the midst of most busy life. So just to recap, if you were to take just one thing out of this self-love chat today, I would like you to take this understanding that no matter how busy your life is, how much you have on your plate right now, how challenging things are, you can make a few simple tweaks, a few mindset shifts, a few heart openings, a few body landings that do not require any extra time, but will completely transform the way you relate to yourself, the way you show up in your life, and bring more peace, more happiness, more easiness, more joy. So please check the free video series that I have just recorded for you, the kickstart to your self-love journey. There is a link in the description. And I also hope to see you and hope to do some beautiful work with you on the upcoming 3-day online self-love experience. Thank you and bye for now.